in the military. Hands up, high.
Oh boy.
Great, thank you. Definitely. We're going to speak to you. Second question, how many of you are family members or members of the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution? Anybody? Yay, thank you, thank you. The centennial of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier was really last year, but as a part of that, Richard and others created an opportunity for us to honor our veterans and their families for the service to our country. Now, so far in this meeting, we've talked about problems that we've got to solve, how we're going to get the trash picked up, who's going to do it, how we're going to get the trees where we need them to be. This is an opportunity for you to hear about a program that you can use in your community, your way, to encourage your community. It is a positive opportunity for everybody in this room. And with that, I'm going to introduce Richard to talk about how this began.
It's me that should be applauding you. This wasn't part of the program, but since I saw so many veterans. As Tomb Guards, we're representatives of the people of the United States. The United States puts the trust in our hands for perpetual honors to the unknown and all those who have served and sacrificed on behalf of America. So when I say to you today, it's a privilege to stand before you as your representative and to address the people that's really all about. So thank you for having me, and it is a privilege. My part here today is to provide some background for an excellent program you're going to hear about that Ginger was a leader of. And I want to tell you about how the whole Never Forget Garden emerged. It didn't just didn't happen. It's more of a journey. And so, and because we have such little time, I'm going to rely upon a couple of things. I'm going to give you a couple of links that I'd like you to know about in case you want to learn more about the Society or the Never Forget Garden Initiative and what we're doing right now and in the future. And that's the website to the Society of the Honor Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, tombguard.org. tombguard.org/centennial. That will take you right to the area that you're going to be hearing about today. The other one is my email address, because I've made this a personal matter over the years. It's razzaro, AZZARO, @verizon.net, and I am available for questions. razzaro@verizon, share with you today. The Never Forget Garden was occasioned by the centennial of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. As we began to plan for how we would help America recognize and indeed celebrate this mile marker for our country, we began to think about how would we approach it, the contours of it, and the substance of it. The first thing we realized is this had to be all-inclusive. This could not be and would not be about Washington, D.C. or Arlington National Cemetery. So we were thinking immediately how we reach into, eventually we got a designation, into the hamlets, all the way down into the villages, where the people who answered the call of this country in time of need, where they came from. And we wanted to go there and make sure that they understood it was about them. One of the programs, well, as we went into that, we started thinking about, well, not everyone is associated or comfortable with this, the language of parades and other activities like that. We began to think in terms of what we saw as very effective language on the plaza as we guarded the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We began to think in terms of the language of poetry, the language of music, the language of literature, and the language of flowers. That led us into a discussion about, well, how would the language of flowers evolve? I took that on. It began with thinking about individual flowers, just individual flowers. We all start with, everybody knows about the poppy. But then we had other flowers, the white rose, which is associated with the selection of the World War I unknown. Quick story, a quick delving into it. At the selection a French couple appeared with a bouquet of flowers, roses, white roses, and we identified them thanks to the DAR and the American Rose Society. We identified those flowers, and it's the Nefetos. And those flowers were used to indicate the selection of the World War I unknown. From that moment on, those roses remained with the unknown until he was buried in Arlington, and there's an incredible story between that point and the burial. We have a special regard for mothers, Gold Star mothers. The pink carnation in the language of flowers in the history of is associated with a mother's love. And I was thinking about seeds. Maybe people would like to plant them. Next thing I realized, I said, I'm not talking about just a couple of flowers, I'm talking about a garden. I started to think more of it, and I got into it, and again, this was a journey for me, so I started getting into it deeper, and we found out a lot more. And in one of the articles that you will find on our website talks about that research. When we got that all together, I started realizing too, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a very personal experience. No matter how large the crowds, the visitation, whatever is going on, whether huge, it's very intimate, it's very personal. So this garden had to reflect the individuality of the individuals, the groups, the towns, the community, however you would define community. It was going to be their garden and the way they wanted to express themselves about love of country and our veterans. Went into the next part of it was, it's not only a place of remembrance, but a place to teach. We have incredible stories to talk about, our heroes. Towns, many towns do not understand, because just the way things go, we move on, and we forget those people that came from our towns, our villages, and they are truly heroes. They're responsible for what we have today. So again, we emphasize that. An example, I was telling Ginger, in my case, my garden, the anchor point is the Nefetos rose. That's the anchor point. The next flower, which were very difficult to keep going, but I keep planting them, are the carnations. The mother's love stays with me because of my personal experience at the tomb. We have other flowers. We had the family that has created a special flower for the centennial. It's called the Never Forget Rose. It's coming on the market, and it'll be out this spring. It's been in France for a while, but it'll be here with it now. So after that, it's up to you individually what allows you to express or speak for you about how you feel for an individual, a group, and so forth. In my case, we at my house in New York, we had a flower called garden phlox. It was prominent in our garden. And for me, because I had 8 uncles that served in both theaters of World War II, that garden phlox is very important. So that touches on the beginning of it and how we got started. But the name itself, this is something that I'm going to quote. I won't do but 2 quotes for you. I'm going to read to you. But the name itself is very important to know. Never forget. Why did I pick that? And it happened, again, part of the journey, because it started out with a remembrance garden. The first point is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is not about World War I. It's about America's sacred duty to never, ever forget or forsake all those who have served and sacrificed on behalf of America in times of war, their families and our allies. Second point, an article of faith among the tomb guards. We believe soldiers never die until they are forgotten. Tomb guards never forget. Third, and this is one that triggered it actually was the trigger. There was an incident on TV one night, and I was watching when it happened, where a congressman was ridiculed by a comedian. It was Saturday Night Live, and this individual thought it was humorous to ridicule this congressman because he had a patch on his eye, and the congressman happened to have lost that eye in combat as a SEAL. And it was received not very well. And they got bombarded. The very next week, they made an apology. They brought the congressman on, and they made the formal apology to him on the TV. While in the apology, he said, "Thank you for your service." And the congressman took it as a teaching moment, and he said, "Thank you. I appreciate that. But you know, when you talk to a veteran, what you want to say to them is, never forget. Because what that means to a veteran is never forget, I am in it with you. When I heard that, everything came together for me. And what I mean by that is, I'm the period of Vietnam. And the way the Vietnam veterans were treated was horrible. Not bad, it was horrible. And that period of time was horrible. And the country has a stain because of that. Eventually things changed and people began to recognize our military and say, thank you, it was very meaningful. But over time, it became a way of people saying, thank you for your service, and they can walk away and leave the veteran standing there with the scars, physical and the ones we don't see. Never forget, I'm in it with you. In my experience, means I'm in it with you, and we're not going home unless we go home together. For me, that's what I want to say to a veteran. That's what I want those gardens to say to a veteran. I'm in it with you. It's not now, only now, it's now and in the future. I will never forget you or forsake you. So I wanted to share that with you. The person who, how am I doing on time?
You don't have any more.
I don't have any.
No, it's kind of so
That's why I said, look at our website. There are a couple of articles. It's on the screen now, but later on when you want to read it. Our vision was articulated, and the most important part in there is these gardens can serve as a proxy for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You people from all over the country, you can't get to Arlington, but these gardens can help you get there. And Ginger's going to tell you all about it and her experiences, and it's happening. We have about 490, almost 500 now, and more coming online, and in France. I'll stop.
About the garden marker, and here is the actual garden marker. If you'd like to come up later and look at it, the society is presenting to Jenny this marker for the Keep America Beautiful to decide how they want to use it or where they want to use it. So it is a program that is going forward. You kind of heard the background, but the question is, why build one? Why should I take the time to do this other than utmost honoring our veterans and their families for their service? Community involvement. We talked about at our table during discussion about how do you get people to volunteer to do things. We are always looking for somebody. So my encouragement to you is look for a partner that you didn't know about, that you weren't thinking about with your organization. When all this information came out, it was presented through the DAR, for those of you that are DAR members. Our chapters learned about this during the centennial. One of the ladies in our community, who happened to be a local DAR regent, read all the information, and she wanted to plant a rose bush. That was her desire. And she did want to plant it in a meaningful place, but she was real frustrated. She couldn't get that. She couldn't make that happen. I am a DAR member, and I also serve on Keep Ridgeland Beautiful. So I'm just kind of the link in this. I listened to her and took it to our team at Keep Ridgeland Beautiful, and actually one of the city employees that works with us, he's with Parks and Recreation, said, I know the perfect place. And our team got together and thought, we can do this. We need to do this. And so from the one lady who wanted to plant the rose bush, she raised $750 among DAR chapters. The regents are represented here. And they provided the funds for flowers and mulch and helped us do some cleaning of this area. So that was their contribution. Physically, they really couldn't come and help us, but they knew what their role was. in the first picture on the other side, our mayor and his wife are on the back, and then the short lady is the lady who wanted to plant the rose bush, and then the Phyllis is also on our Keep Richmond Beautiful team. We are very fortunate. We have the support of our mayor and our aldermen. They are very much in honoring and recognizing our military. And so we celebrated City Hall, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. We're out there and we're inviting the community to come and join us. So community involvement, we've got multiple opportunities to celebrate and recognize our veterans. So you build it once and you maintain it, but you get to use it again and again. So community involvement. We had people that just wanted to participate. They liked the idea. They thought it was something that was intriguing to them. They wanted to do it. In Jenny's material, the organization's move in our next is a green space. This is a way to add another green space. We did not start at the beginning and plant a garden. We took an existing structure that had fallen, that needed some help. The plants around it had kind of died out, and we built flower beds. We looked at there's a list provided in the material of the trees and what they mean, of flowers and what they mean. But I think the important thing is it's your garden and you plant what grows in your area. We do azaleas. Mississippi, we have a lot of azaleas, so we did plant white azaleas in our garden. We plant bulbs, all of those types of flowers, but we keep our garden going. So an easy way to add a green space, and that's one of our goals is to do that. And again, I did it my way. It's wide open to you to do it your way. Garden clubs, Keep Richmond Beautiful, your affiliate members, your veterans groups, veteran organizations. Think of all the partners you could have doing this. Watching myself too. The other thing that was mentioned is that Keep America Beautiful is looking toward July the 4th, 2026. Things that we can do as an organization that can celebrate America's birthday. Start now. It'll be a real pretty garden in 3 years. I think that gives us another opportunity of how we can relate to the people in our community. When we, the pictures you see, when we built the garden and we dedicated it on the day after Veterans Day in November of 21, our city had a big at noon veterans program on Veterans Day. And then the next day, we dedicated the garden, which was not far from our city hall. Since the DAR was involved, we had our local high school color guard. We had this is where the DAR groups really shine. They brought the food, they set it up, they decorated the pavilion, invited the public in. So that was their role in the dedication of the garden. So it's a way for us to continue to celebrate. Those were just some of the points that we've heard this morning of ways that this allows you to do that project. I don't know if I've got one. This is the part of the team of women that work for Keep Richmond Beautiful that actually did the physical planning. We did have other people that joined us with that. It's the kind of, maybe you've heard this before. This is a gift that keeps on giving. When your community members find out about it, we've had our pictures in the mouth. We've been on social media, and a question was asked this morning: how do you validate that your message is getting out there? Now, you can do a lot of hire firms that do the marketing research to tell you what's going on. I'll just give you one example. This past week, we had our state DAR meeting at a Hilton Hotel in Jackson, Mississippi. As part of that, and we've met at that facility for a number of years, the events planner at the hotel for every year has brought greetings to the society, thanking us for using the hotel, thanking us for being there. Her, as you would expect, her spiel. And I was sitting there, maybe not paying as much attention as I should, until she said, "I want to thank y'all for the garden." And I thought, well, what are you saying? And the more she talked about it, she had read about the Never Forget Garden in our City of Original publication. She had seen it on some of the pictures in the paper, and she knew it was, you knew where it was. She wanted to go, and she wanted to see where it was, and she did. So the word was out there. She did, and one of the comments was, "Thank you for taking the time to do that." In her retirement, she's working with veterans, and she wanted us to know how much that she appreciated our doing that. So we just want to present to you an opportunity for something that you can do in your community. It's your size, it's your place, it's your location, it's whatever volunteers that want to do this. But I will tell you, it is a gift that keeps on giving.